Why does this canal encapsulate everything about Scotland? That's what I'm going to tell you today. So if you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. And if you enjoy this video, then give it a thumbs up, share it and watch the next one. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. Canals. You get them all over the world. They're just a watery shortcut, a transport route before roads and railways, some place to store a no longer useful shopping trolley. But this one tells a story, and it's the story of Scotland. You see, the most wonderful country in the world has a waterway running through the spine of it that holds its history. It's not just a feat of engineering, it's the one canal that explains Scotland. We're a nation shaped by conflict and clash of culture, rebellion and reinvention, loss and migration, ingenuity, ambition, heritage and hospitality, and of course, union with our southern neighbour. I'm going to tell you how they all play into the story of the Caledonian Canal and one of the benefits of our union with England. Aye, you didn't see that coming, did you? This is Fort Augustus. As I wait for the morning mist to lift, its highland backdrop at the south end of Loch Ness feels eternal. But the town hasn't always been like this. So why is it here? Well, just over on the shore there, the fort that gave this town its name was built as a strategic garrison after the Jacobite Rising in 1715. It sat in the middle of the Great Glen, with Fort William at one end and Fort George at the other. This necklace of forts strangled Scotland, making the Great Glen and the lochs that ran its length the spine of British occupation and subjugation of the Highlands. When the 1745 Jacobite Rising ended at Culloden, this was the base from which the butcher Cumberland inflicted his brutal reprisals. Redcoats set out from here. Prisoners were incarcerated. Now, I don't need to tell you that in the years that followed, the Highlands were in crisis. There were mass evictions by landowners who preferred sheep to people. Unemployment was high and clan society was collapsing. Or, should I say, was being deliberately knocked down. Great swathes of the population left, and those that didn't had to eke out a living on marginal land. Folks who watch these videos are split pretty evenly between the descendants of those who left and those who stayed, and both groups draw an emotional response. Now, the government of the day didn't want everyone in the Highlands crossing oceans for new worlds. They would need manpower to fight the French. And this gave a double motivation to build a canal. Paid work on a great infrastructure project along the Great Glen would provide a secure alternative to subsistence farming. It would also keep men on the land to feed that other icon of Scottish identity, whether home or diaspora. The Highland soldier battling stoically through Napoleonic wars. You see, when the famed inventor James Watt suggested a 10 feet deep canal for Fort William to Inverness, linking the lochs of the Great Glen in 1773, nothing was done. It wasn't until that other Scottish visionary, Thomas Telford, was commissioned to study Highland emigration in 1801 that the canal gained momentum. Looming war with Napoleonic France also meant fear of attacks on coastal shipping by French privateers. How much safer would it be to send shipping inland through the Great Glen? Of course, it wasn't just safer from military attacks, it was also safer from the elements. A journey north round Cape Wrath and the Pentland Firth was facing the gauntlet of bad weather as well as buccaneers. Much better to sail through an inland canal. So, with defence of the realm commercial efficiency and the prospect of gainful employment to keep Highlanders on the land all came together to justify one of the most challenging infrastructure projects of the 19th century. In July 1803, Parliament passed the Caledonian Canal Act, authorising an initial £20,000 in old money. The next year, that was upped to £50,000 a year. At the time, that was a massive investment in infrastructure. The plan was a 60-mile canal with man-made channels. They would connect the Great Glen's natural lochs, Loch Ness, Loch Oich and Loch Lochy. The dimensions are 20 feet deep, 50 feet wide at the bottom and 110 feet at the surface, and with huge lochs. That's lochs, not lochs. At 180 feet long and 40 feet wide and fit for a 32-gun naval frigate, they would be the largest lochs in the world. Now, to give you an idea of how heroic this was for the time, these loch chambers would remain the world's biggest until the Panama Canal over 90 years later. This was civil engineering on a scale not seen before in Britain. But the cost has gone up to $474,000, at least for now. The project was scheduled to take 7 years. They started building the canal in 1804. The project created all sorts of challenges. Hard schist rocks in some places, boggy peat and gravel in others, a harsh climate in the winter, and in the summer, midges. Just getting tools and supplies where they needed to go in the roadless highland landscape was a problem. Telford started the work at either end, coming northeast from Fort William and southwest from Inverness. That way, they could use the bits of the canal that they'd finished to transport materials to work sites in the middle. As I said, part of the motivation was to give local Highlanders employment. What nobody thought of was that they had no experience in this type of work. They were farmers. Not only did Telford have to teach them everything from scratch, Highlanders didn't see canal digging as a full-time escape from poverty, but a seasonal addition to traditional life. Come the harvest time or peat cutting season, they all disappeared, leaving Telford short-handed. One year, whole crews left to fish during herring season and never came back. Eventually, to fill the gaps in manpower, Telford had to bring in experienced Irish navvies. Critics pointed out that the whole purpose of the canal was to solve Highland unemployment, not to bring in more Irish workers. But what could he do? The Caledonian Canal was finally opened in October 1822, 19 years after work began, and more than double the original budget. If only we could have got Telford to build the Scottish Parliament. Now, given I've pitched this as a canal that explains Scotland, I suppose this is the right time to bring in the thorny subject of the Union. The fact of the matter is that there have been times that the union with England has been a drag on Scotland. That's me just upset half the audience. But there have also been other times when it's been a good thing. That's me just lost the other half. This Caledonian Canal project strikes me as one of the latter. It was undoubtedly intended to bolster the British interest, but also support Highlanders going through a difficult transition. It used the genius of Scottish engineers, but with a level of funding we'd be unlikely to shoulder on our own. When local Highlanders downed tools, folks were brought in from another part of the United Kingdom to fill the gap. It was the largest programme of public works ever undertaken for a specific region in Britain up until that time. I mean, it was a region that was just getting over British military occupation and repression, and it had been affected by recent British policy. But if this canal explains Scotland, that's the inevitable yin and yang. One thing that went wrong was the depth of the canal. So as to rein in costs, the depth had been reduced. Now 15 feet rather than 20 feet, and having taken so long to build that it hadn't kept up with ship technology. Iron-hulled steamships and vessels had arrived, and a lot of these newer ships had too deep a draft to use the canal. What's more, in 1815, the Napoleonic Wars ended at the Battle of Waterloo, so the Royal Navy didn't need to hide ships from the French anymore. So by 1822, the Caledonian Canal was solving 1804 problems that nobody had anymore. A marvel of engineering now spans Scotland's Great Glen from sea to sea, running 60 miles with 29 locks and numerous bridges and aqueducts, but it couldn't make money. One economist famously described it as a splendid child dressed in fine clothes but with empty pockets. Between 1844 and 1847, the canal was deepened, lock chambers were built and weak masonry was reinforced. The improved canal got a bit more traffic, but never what it dreamed of. Highland communities were already depopulated by emigration. The hope for flourishing of industry along the canal's banks was no more than a modest uptick. And then came Queen Victoria. Queen Vicky fell in love with the Highlands and inspired many from the south to venture north during that era that bore her name. In 1873, she took a pleasure cruise along the Caledonian Canal. Now, that's something I've promised myself that I'm going to get round to one day. She wondered at the landscape. The publicity brought a surge of visitors wanting to take the same journey that she had to see the wild Highland places that had so recently been home to rebels, safe from the deck of a steamship. In the late 19th century, paddle steamer excursions became popular in the canal and lochs. Ironically, as the country saw the railway replace canals as industrial transport, it opened up tourism to the Highlands. Railway lines arrived in Fort William, Inverness and Fort Augustus, delivering early sightseers. Victorian fascination with the Scottish Highlands turned the canal into a scenic attraction. By the 1930s, steamships Glengarry and Gondolier, packed to the gunwales, ran summer passenger services through the Great Glen. Tourism had supplanted freight as the canal's lifeblood. The Caledonian Canal is still a tourist haven to this day, and Fort Augustus must be the jewel in the crown. Relax on the shores of Loch Ness, sit with a beer and watch the boats pass through the lock system. Enjoy some of the pubs and restaurants. I'm bringing folks here for a couple of nights on my annual big birthday tour in September. We'll be staying here at the Love It Hotel, enjoying good food and beautiful views. We'll take a day trip to Skye from here, but we'll already have spent a few days in Peebles Hydro and Dunblane Hydro, seen Hadrian's Wall, visited prehistoric monuments and fantastic castles, met the current Lord Bruce and more besides. Why not come along? Just click the link top right or in the description below, or email alexis@scotlandhistorytours.co.uk. As I bask in the ever-present Scottish sunshine of Fort Augustus, by the lochs that connect Loch Ness to Loch, the Caledonian Canal isn't just about water and lochs. It's about connections through time that encapsulate Scotland's story. And Loch Ness is a monster that first came to fame as St Columba passed this way to meet the King of the Picts in 565 AD. On the loch side is a spot where a fort gave this town its name, built to subdue the Jacobites, who then overran the town in 1745 before suffering the consequences in that fort in 1746. Through here passed Highlanders cleared from the land en route to the Americas, or dispatched to serve the crown in those Americas or European battlefields. In many ways, this place symbolises union as families sent their sons and British Empire returned funds to revive the area's fortunes. The British state, having occupied the Highlands, now sought to develop them. The canal and its lochs were part of the transformation of industrial revolution and technological change. Scotland's renowned engineers came here at that time of improvement and enlightenment when people the world over looked to them. It speaks of well-meaning government projects gone wrong, and God knows Scotland's seen plenty of them. It reminds us that so many modern-day Scots are born of Irish immigration. It's seen industrial revolution replaced by tourist transformation, with many of the descendants of those who left coming back to visit. It's a reminder of Scottish resilience. The Highland people adapted. The canal adapted. And today it's thriving, not as an industrial route, but as a living monument to ambition, struggle and reinvention, from a military fort suppressing Highland rebellion to a peaceful lochside village where bagpipers and boaters coexist. It's a powerful image of Scotland. If you want to know where and when and how Scottish tourism began, then there's a video coming up on screen now. If you enjoyed this video, then hype it, share it and watch the next one. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member or buy me a coffee in the description below. In the meantime, ha mín dóchas gún bí lá mála. Sherry and Rasta.